finish up this post and finish developing the outline of the different pieces of this door component, we'll develop the brick mold component of it and again use the follow me tool to create a architecturally accurate brick mold. So we'll select the brick mold component that we created in the first step of the outline, and just for reference, you can see if you drag this component back onto the door jamb, it matches up with the profile of the door. So we'll leave that there, and we'll copy it, paste another instance of it. We'll just work on this instance so we don't get mixed up with the other lines and the other components that are grouped over here. So we'll just jump into the component edit mode for this brick mold, and this will have an offset of a 1/2 inch around the door jamb opening. That's pretty typical of a brick mold on an exterior door jamb. So I'm going to erase this bottom line because the brick mold will just go around 3 sides. Double click this. Oops, I don't need to do that. Yes, I do. Get my step straight here. Okay, so I'm double clicking this, and then we're going to offset this a 1/2 inch away, and that'll give us the inside line for the brick mold. I'll delete that line, and then just for reference, you'll see how this works later. I'm just going to create a 1/2 inch line here, an index line, so that we can move this brick mold around and stick it back on that door jamb, and this little point will reference the location to the jamb itself. Okay, so we've got that little detail taken care of. Now I'm just going to draw a reference plane down here so we can create our brick mold. I'm going to zoom in and draw another rectangle that will be the overall size of the brick mold, which I'm going to say that's 2 1/4 inches. I'm just entering this on the keyboard, and 1 1/4 inches. That would be the overall size of the brick mold. Now this gets a little detailed, but I hope that it'll give you some ideas on how to create complex profiles in moldings. So just bear with me. We'll make a few reference lines here to create the molding. I'm going 1/2 inch over there, 1 inch over here. I think we'll give our molding, or the OG part of this, a 1/2 inch. And then we've got a couple of other lines that will form in here. This will kind of clear up as I draw along. I'm using the line tool here just to follow our reference lines. I know I'm going to have a 1/16 inch step in the molding there. Press the escape key and then start a new line here. It'll be 1/16 of an inch. And then I want to create an OG that goes between the ends of those 2 marks. And the OG is going to switch halfway between them. So it's a 1/2 inch from that line to this line. Put a reference in here at a 1/4 inch. And then I have got to go from the end of this line to the end of this line is an 1/8 inch. I want to go halfway between there. See if this will click in. I'll have to tell it I want a 1/16 inch offset there. Okay, now to create our OG, I'm just going to grab the arc tool, and I'm going to click end of the line and the intersection of our 2 lines, and then I'll just bend this line to get the first curve of our OG. And the more I zoom in, the more accurate this is able to get. If you're zoomed out, the line kind of wants to click around and misbehave. Kind of get zoomed in it seems to want to cooperate a lot more. So I'm just going to give this a little reverse curve. When it's where I want it, I click. Okay, this may or may not make sense yet, but now I've got the profile that it's going to take to create a brick mold. This is a pretty common looking profile that we've created here with this couple of rabbit steps in there and an OG curve. Okay, so now I'm just going to back out by using the zoom extents tool. Drag this to select the three sides of our brick mold that follows our jam. And then to use the follow me tool, first you select a path and then you tell SketchUp what profile you want to follow the path. So by selecting those three lines and choosing the follow me tool, now SketchUp knows that we want to follow that line with this profile. Let me just click this shape and bingo, there is our brick mold. And you can see all the corners are mitered and fitted. If you we'll click out of this for a second and turn the shadows on, and you can see how nicely that little OG profile is created with a few simple steps. If you tried to draw this geometry any other way, it would be ridiculously complex. Turn the shadows off, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit by entering back into the edit mode. Here's a trick. I'm just going to click to the right. I've selected everything including the bottom of the brick mold, but I don't want to delete the bottom of the brick mold. So now I'm going to hold down Shift and select another group of geometry. That reverses the selection or eliminates that part. Now I press Delete, and we'll get rid of that reference plane, which disappeared. Now I can just delete this instance of the component. And you can see over here that the brick mold component is right where we want it. If I move it away, then I can put it back by grabbing the end of that little stub line and indexing it to the corner of the jam. So there's the door with the brick mold on it. And now let's bring our shed back to place the door. I'll do that by selecting View and then telling we want to view all the hidden geometry so you can see all the things that we hid earlier. I'm just going to select this whole group of stuff, unhide it, got our shed back, turn off the hidden geometry. That gives us a shed. We have the door component. I'm just going to select these items and then group them so they all move together. And then I can move that group of our door over into the shed, and I'll zoom in again here to get a more accurate position. And you'll, if you got a watchful eye, you'll notice that I didn't put a sill on this door jamb. I can save that for another step and or another time. So I want to move the door right in here so that the door is sitting on the jamb is sitting on the floor. And then by holding the arrow key, I can move the jam in one particular direction. It's not going to try to bounce all over the world. So in this case, I'm going to move the jam till it's even with the plywood. Raise it up just a little bit by holding the up arrow key. See if this will cooperate. There we go. So it's now sitting on top of the subfloor. Oops, it's kind of wanting to misbehave here a little bit. There it goes, and then we'll slide it over 1/4 of an inch. Alright, that's done. So now our door is sitting in the shed. If you zoom around and jump inside the shed, you can see that there's space around the jamb. If you were actually building this, that'd be the insulation space. Space for shims. And here's another little trick to show us how our door fits into the jamb. So I'm going to explode this group of components. Then I'm going to select the rotate tool because I want to rotate the door slab component You can see how this thing jumps around, turns red, or turns green, turns blue. And I want to rotate in the blue plane. So once I get a blue protractor, I'll hold the shift key and then zoom in and catch the corner of the door slab component, line it up with the center of that protractor, click the plane of the face of the door, and then I can just rotate this. Let's just give it 60 degrees of rotation. So there you can see how the door opens. And you can do this other ways with scenes, but a simple way to watch that door operate is just to click the do and the redo button, and makes the door open and close. So there it is, developing a door component a few steps at a time using what I call the outline approach. It saves a lot of extra drawing and measuring in reference lines just by indexing all the separate components off of one initial rectangle. So we're going to unhide geometry, put our little sign back here, turn the shadows on, and there we have our shed with a door in it. I hope that wasn't too mumbled up to make sense, and hope that gives you some ideas on how to create custom components for your 3D models.